deny him that representation. Why is it that we never had problems with the prosecution until now? Because we have realized it is deliberate. You have sent 2 of our members, including our leader. Remember the prosecution, they were supposed to appear before the court on the same day. Is that not the case? Now, if you say that you are just following the processes, why? What was wrong with Ashawan's process? Because you wanted to truncate that process. Didn't you truncate that process? What happens to the people who invaded the MPP, what's the name? Invisible forces, who attacked a court of competent jurisdiction in Kumasi? You came with a so-called nolle prosequa. That's what you did, to truncate the process. So if you want to do this for sanity to prevail, you do that. But you are not willing to do that. And we're not begging you to do so. What we are simply saying is that as long as the witch hunting continues, we may take that strong position. But as to whether we will continue with this, that is left with our leadership to determine. And whatever decision our leadership will take, I do know that we will consult the party. I do know that we'll have caucus meeting. And when we have caucus meeting, we will together take a position that is better for the people of this country and the NDC. This democracy is not a democracy that is exclusive, a democracy of the MPP. We must allow sincerity and honesty to prevail. But when you have arbitrary use of force and government machinery, that is where the problem comes.
Okay, so from what I understand, this strategy is subject to review.
It could be. No, you see, I'm not a leader of our caucus.
No,
it could be reviewed at any time, depending on the circumstance. So if our leadership sees that, look, the perceived witch hunting or the witch hunting that we have seen, there is some relaxation of that witch hunting. We are not saying don't prosecute the people. That's not what we are saying.
Okay, so what's the ultimate objective of your boycott?
To tell government that don't witch hunt. So allow the laws to take its course. But it is being done deliberately so that they reduce the number in parliament. Now, if you have our minority leader and another member of parliament out of parliament, you would have NDC number being reduced to 135. So that even with the absence of a Juasa or any other person, they can push through their bills. And that is why we are saying that we will not sit. If we don't sit, you may not even have a quorum. That's the point.
Okay.
So we are doing so in protection of our democracy.
So you are not against these 3 persons facing the court of law?
We have never been against anybody facing the court of law. We have never been against it.
Okay. So how do you distinguish that from the persecution? Because they are in court, really. So how do you expect the court case to run to convince you that they are not being persecuted?
Well, I mean, clearly we considered a lot of factors. We considered the posture of government, particularly the Ministry of Justice and Attorney General. We considered the kinds of comments and statements that are being made when you have an MP who says that even if the Chikwueze wins the elections, we'll prosecute him, we'll jail him. These statements were made. Even after he won the elections, you had MPP members who are still arguing that this man should be jailed. So clearly, it is not about just dealing with him with just the law alone. There is that agenda to ensure that the man is jailed. He won elections. It is only the courts in this country that will determine whether the man will go to jail or not. But right from the election, in fact, the campaign, even including the president, when he went to Asinov, what did he say? You shouldn't elect someone who will go to jail. But why should that statement even come from the president? Don't elect someone who may be jailed. That statement should not even come from the president. And after the president made that statement on platforms, when we were campaigning, saying that if you vote Chikwueze, you'll be jailed. So there is every clear evidence that what is happening is witch hunting and nothing else. And nothing else. And that is why we're saying that if the witch hunting stops, perhaps we may review the position we have taken. But as long as the witch hunting continues, we may look at maybe perhaps very drastic, actions to take than what we have taken so far.
People bringing out this article. In fact, what more drastic action can be done than you boycotting the proceedings in Parliament?
We shall cross.
Anyway, but people on this, and considering the concerns that the likes of Dr. Rashid Rahman and others have raised about how this impacts on the business of Parliament, and then also the issue of representation. Now we have clarity of why the NDC is taking this path of boycotting parliamentary business to support their colleagues. as though they're against the court cases, but the perceived persecution of these persons as well, but taking into consideration how that impacts on the business of Parliament.
Okay, yeah, so it's become a chicken and egg matter, okay? But one thing is very clear. I have one singular thought on this, and I'll go with Honorable Murtala. The prosecution, I'm talking specifically about Gyakye Quayson, smacks of political witch hunt. Yeah, that one, look, listen, we say it 1,000 times. Straight. Look, the cardinal point in this Gyakye Quayson matter is that it was the EC that cleared Gyakye Quayson to stand for the elections. The EC is a regulator. This matter was raised. The EC went into the books and said, look, for them, they and their lawyers, the law they understood as it was then was that Gyakye Quayson qualified to stand. And so if EC is cleared a candidate, specifically when even a petition had been raised, so it's not even just like, okay, he presented papers, the EC looked at it and didn't have any other information to challenge him. That's not the case. This one, somebody in the community even drew the EC's attention by petitioning the EC. EC went into law and everything and came with a final decision that Quayson is good to go. So if subsequently it's been determined that, well, EC is wrong and all that, there's really no basis to prosecute Quayson. You just see the political angle, you know, sticking out like a sore thumb. Yeah, that's it. And so that is why Osei Adeoye Agyemang-Badu, is it the second, did what he did. He had to. You see, in times of moral crisis, then you find many statesmen, so-called statesmen, big title. They are all in their bedrooms. When you meet them privately, yes, go on. Meanwhile, they don't have the courage to come out. Yet today, when we are looking for statesmen, you see them plenty, 70s, 80s. Yeah, the statesmen are here. Yet, in times of moral crisis like this, they are not brave enough. I mean, look, listen, Osei Adeoye Agyemang-Badu did the right thing. He did the right thing. He had to. Look, in times like that, some people...
So you disagree that those comments were unhealthy?
Absolutely. Come on, it's just politics. Anybody who tells you that what the judge did is unhealthy is just clouded by his own political interest.
That's what the Attorney General said.
Okay, but the Attorney General is a politician. He's the president who appointed him. That's where he's making bread and butter. That is where the Attorney General is making bread and butter. He was appointed by the president. He's making a living there. If he didn't say so, then he will be fired. He will be fired. So he's just preserving his political career. So that's where you should listen to neutrals like us, people who don't have to earn anything from the public purse. And so I can speak today knowing that, listen, tomorrow I can still make my own living. So I'm not scared of saying what it is. Yes, that's all. Yes, I'm reading. Yes,
so there's a 30 seconds break.
Yeah.
30 seconds break. Just hold on to that thought. 30 seconds. Stay with me. We'll be back shortly. In 30 seconds, please.
Discover boundless horizons at Heritage Christian College. Discover boundless horizons at Heritage Christian College. Discover boundless horizons at Heritage Christian College.
Welcome back. That's Heritage Christian College. There, you're so live here on Key Point. We're live on 3FM 92.7. Lawyer Martin Kpebu, before I took that quick one, you're on the path.
Yes, let me reintroduce it a bit. You remember the popular phrase that is attributed to Dante, that the hottest places in hell are reserved for people who, in times of moral crisis like this, you see, remain mute. They won't say anything. Then they allow the hand of the oppressor to extend. Because look, you see, citizens, one thing we need to get to understand is that, look, the political class, the worst citizens in this society are in that political class. So if as citizens we don't wake up, they will continue ruining us. Let me repeat, the worst citizens in this country, the worst It doesn't matter whether NDC or NPP.
Now what do you say?
The West citizens, the West citizens we have in Ghana are in the political class. The politicians, they are the West. So that's why if they were the best, this country wouldn't be where it is. They are the West. Look, from the president to the down, they are the West. If the president, let's say, was a good man, you think we'll be suffering this way? The Bible itself even says it, when the wicked rule, the people suffer.
And that's why
when the wicked rule, the people suffer. You think the president was a good man, will be suffering this way? You think the bonds, data bank would have been making all the money? All the other people, I mean, such close relations. When he said you know family and friends and the rest. So if you continue to say that, I don't know what you are scared of. Look, in a democracy, from time to time, the tree of democracy is watered with the blood of patriots and villains alike. So if you sit there and all you want is that we should just come and sit here and do tongue lashing, it will be slow. You see, we talk, the president is not minding anybody. Ufuriata is still in office as finance minister. He's not paying the bonds. Bonds that for over how many 3 months now due, he's not paying. Yet they found money to go to Asin North to go and bribe citizens to vote. 200. They found money to go and bribe citizens in Asin North to vote. When people that they owe, they've not paid. Article 36 of the Constitution says no. When you are going to develop, make sure that before development, citizens must have food, citizens must have shelter, citizens must have adequate health. Our members can buy drugs, bondholders. Look, Gold Coast Securities, they started long ago when the Gold Coast Securities, the court case and all that.
The Black Shield
matter. Thousands of them, have seen them. People are suffering. All these people, government doesn't have any empathy for them. Yet takes money to go and do overnight roads in Kumewu and then Asin North and etc. You are sitting down here. So listen, this particular Jati Christian to me, I'll say it. Osi Adeoyo did the right thing. You see, Ayukotu joined. You see now, you see Ayukotu is independent, so you see how his independence is reflected. You see Osi Adeoyo did the right thing. You saw the Association of ADR practitioners and counselors. They also issued a statement, right? And some other notable individuals. So if you add it, then you see that, look, at least a few have spoken. But the larger majority who are quiet, they are really, it's shame unto them. Very, very shame, hypocritical. Very hypocritical. Yeah, it's hypocrisy.
Martin Pebble. Oh, thank you. Let me bring Mr. Nolte on this. And the position.
Can I still just 30 seconds? But so the context of the bill in Parliament, that's one argument we haven't looked at. There's a bill in Parliament where we want to cancel the prohibition on dual citizens becoming MPs.
Yes,
so we look very confused. In one breath, we want to allow
by this government.
Excellent. I thought it's a private member's bill. But they support it.
But the government supports it.
So we look very confused. We take 2 steps forward, then 4 backwards. We look very confused.
That bill, the last time I checked, that bill has gone through, yes, its second reading. In fact, the Council of State lent its support.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Then you are I told you, we will come out with a petition. We are looking for a few thousands of citizens.
The former president on this matter. Yes. So
this is... We are looking for some citizens to sign the petition. I will present it to the Attorney General.
I think it's one of the promoters of this bill is Kennedy Osei. He's the chair of the Transport Committee of Parliament. Is it not?
So we are very confused. In one breath, you are going to allow them. Then another, you say you are prosecuting. Why don't you prosecute the NAM1 case? NAM1. People are suffering. Why are you not prosecuting the NAM1 case? Why are you interested in NAM1's case?
You're taking my 30 seconds. Let me speak. So firstly, I want to say that our colleagues on the other side, the minority, boycotting Parliament for a day or two is not necessarily reneging on their responsibility. I don't buy into that argument.
Right.
They wanted to go and show solidarity to their brother. That's fine. We all know that this case didn't start yesterday.
Right.
It's been running for a few months. In fact, all 3 cases have been running for a while. So I don't see how overnight it becomes witch hunting. And it was not witch hunting 6 months ago, 8 months ago.
When the president
However,
said that
please, let me finish. Please, let me finish. We all know that it is not the MPP government that called for the by-election. The EC may have erred, and the Supreme Court corrected it. And the Supreme Court said that his election was unconstitutional, null and void. and therefore a by-election was called. It was not called by the NPP. It was not called by, let me finish, it was not called by the majority in Parliament. It was not called by His Excellency the President. It was called by the election, his election was nullified. And therefore, there was a need for us to go through the processes of electing a new member of Parliament for the people of Asin. However, if he committed the crime or alleged crime prior to his election, that doesn't stop us from re-electing him as an MP until he's found guilty or otherwise. And for me, going through the processes is a natural process. Let him go through the processes to the end. If he's vindicated, we are all happy. I mean, he's our colleague, he's our friend. We are not wishing him to go to jail. Let me finish. We are not wishing him to go to jail or anything of that nature. We want him to serve in Parliament insofar as he's come through the right door, right channel, and he's doing what is right. The people of Asin North obviously love him. They, I mean, if you hear what people say about him out there, he's a very popular person. He's a very popular candidate. They love him. They brought him back. That's fine. It doesn't take away the fact that he broke the law at some point in time. And no, that is why if it was constitutional and it was not null and void, he wouldn't have gone through the by-election in the first place. He did something that the Attorney General or the state feels is wrong, and therefore has presented him before the court of law. Let him go through the processes. The fact that the members on the majority side, some member on the majority side is promoting a bill that would make dual citizens have access or have access to certain positions, become members of Parliament. Yes. Doesn't mean that we all support that bill. I personally don't support that bill. There are several of us who don't support that bill. I believe that some things must be left for Ghanaians and Ghanaians only. Some things must be left for Ghanaians who are born in Ghana. And so, therefore, I mean, you can naturalize as a Ghanaian, but that doesn't mean that you should be able to have access to certain positions. That is my view. It's my view, and my colleague is my friend, he's my good friend. I've told him that I don't support this private members bill. He knows. I'm not alone. There are a few of us who think this way in our private platforms and in our parliamentary majority platform. We've been debating these issues, so we'll get there. Nobody has given any superior argument why I should rescind or back down on my reasons for that. What the chief said, the High Court judge / chief said that we should literally tamper justice with mercy. That's post the let me say judgment. If the judgment comes and he's found, for example, he's found guilty, then you can say so. I mean, you are a lawyer. You know, I don't know. Maybe you can educate us. If the Attorney General today goes ahead to say that he nolli prosequi, and therefore he should, he's not interested in the case anymore. He should go home. He comes to sit in Parliament. Blah blah blah. From what I'm hearing, any other Attorney General can come back and bring the case back to the table.
Like the chances are slim. So what will happen is that you see right now the reason we shouldn't do this is that the EC. Did you see the AG at the EC? No. You see, because that's a political decision. It's the EC that cleared him.
The EC made a mistake.
The AG lives with it. And so at the EC as a second accused person.
The EC
made
the EC made a mistake. And the Supreme Court has clarified that.
So
we've gone past that stage.
Why is the EC not a party to this
that is it. The EC should be second accused.
Because that is a decision for the Attorney General. That is the decision for the Attorney General to take. However, the decision that has been taken today is that justification should be prosecuted, and let us go through the processes.
Doesn't mean that Attorney General got it right.
We haven't said anything about the people being denied the right to be represented.
No, the people were not denied the rights. The rights were denied because the EC made a wrong call, and it's the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court that said that the situation cannot hold itself as an MP.
Gentlemen. Thank you. Yes.
So the two of them cannot go together.
Sir?
Let's deal with, no, we are dealing with Jachikwe.
And even your own member of parliament, the one who was convicted in Australia, it's before court, right? This Africa, 1 second. Habib's case is in court. He was convicted of stealing in Australia. Why are you not interested in that case?
I'll come to you.
We'll get to that. We are dealing with Jachikwe. So Jachikwe, I believe, should go through the processes, all the criminal processes to the end, and vindicate himself. When he's vindicated and he's a free man, we'll work with him. I mean, we are already working with him. He's still a member of parliament.
We are not working with him.
We are working with him.
Why?
When he came home, didn't we all embrace him?
Did you embrace him?
I went to embrace him.
That day, some of you boycotted parliament.
No, we didn't boycott parliament.
You did.
We went to embrace him. He's our colleague, and we're going to be working with him. So that's fine. For me, I just want him to go through the process and vindicate himself, so that when he's walking out there, he's a free man. He feels there's no, I mean, he doesn't look behind his shoulder thinking that
you're not agreeing with me that you guys hate Assin people.
We don't hate Assin people. We didn't do anything. It is the state. If you say we, who is we?
NPP.
It is not the NPP. It is the state that is taking the decisions. It's the state that is prosecuting him.
Person.
It is the state that
you
is...
provided
why?
What?
That seat has been won by the NPP before. So,
okay. So by this time around,
the fact that we have not won it today doesn't mean that we hate them. We don't hate them.
You have moved the machine.
We love them. We love them the same way everybody else loves them. They decided that they prefer Jachikwe at this point in time to be their representative in parliament. That's fine. Maybe when the opportunity comes in 2024, they might give it to our MPP brother who contested.
With this hatred?
No, there's no hatred. So we'll go back there. We'll go and work. Make sure that we bring back the love to...
you bring back the love. So the love is
and
gone.
Win our seat back. It's our seat. It's a seat that I know
is naturally our seat. Your seat.
It's our seat. We'll go for it.
But this is a swing seat.
Exactly.
It's been won by both parties. You cannot stick out your neck and say it's your seat.
We are going to work to make sure that that seat comes back. The fact that we have won it before means that we have the capacity to keep that seat in the future.
But with this attitude...
It's not this attitude.
This attitude...
No, but have you considered how, and in politics, optics is very, very crucial?
See,
it's an essential ingredient in political practice.
I didn't have the... Let me, if I may conclude. I didn't have the chance to go to the by-election myself because I was not well at that time. And I was out of the country for a bit, and then I was not... When I came back, I wasn't well, so I wasn't there. But I followed the election. And if you see some of the videos of our opponents and the kind of things that they said there...
What did we say?
They went to the extent of telling the people that, look, MPP wants Jachikwe out so that we would come and we'll kick out this anti-LGBT bill.
No, but if you're...
I saw videos of it.
Your MPs
it had nothing to do with it.
Your MPs are openly against the bill.
No, our MPs are not openly. All 275 are in favor of the bill. So don't say that our MPs, as a party and our position in parliament, our position is that we all support the bill. Nobody, not even a single person said that. No, nobody spoke against the bill. They said that there might be question marks in the bill that needs to be looked at. And for obviously...
They wanted to please the Western world.
Thank you.
Oh, I defended it.
So for Assin, we don't hate them. We love them. And we're going to bring back the love and make sure that we
bring back the love. So
the member of parliament for the Tema Central constituency, Joromo Ives Hansen Norte. Our next issue still ties into a matter of governance and corruption, really, because the Office of Special Prosecutor issued its half-year report as required by law. And some 150 cases, as you see on the screen, there are 4 cases being prosecuted. Investigations concluded into 4 cases, which we'll get details of shortly. 9 cases with investigations ongoing, 150 cases under consideration, and zero convictions. No convictions as we speak. And that is where some have raised fundamental issues about the impact of the OSP's work if they are doing an assessment of its efficiency. We would have one of such persons joining us shortly. The Bank of Ghana is being investigated in respect of the banking and financial sector crisis that precipitated the collapse of some banks and financial institutions. and the financial sector cleanup and recapitalization reform. So the BOG is being investigated by the OSP on these issues related to the financial sector cleanup. Also in there, in the half-year report, the acquisition of state lands by the late Sir John Kojo-Free, following the refusal by the High Court to affirm the freezing order issued by the special prosecutor. Here's what's happening. In fact, the special prosecutor wanted to freeze the assets of Kojo-Free, the late, but the High Court refused that order. So the Office of Special Prosecutor has appealed to the Court of Appeal, Civil Division, for a reversal of the decision of the High Court to facilitate the investigation and final resolution of the matter concerning Kojo-Free and the acquisition of state lands. The OSP wants that order to freeze the assets of Sir John granted. So they are the appeals court on this. Also, the trial of the former Chief Executive Officer, former Deputy Chief Executive in charge of operations, former Deputy Chief Executive in charge of finance and administration of the Northern Development Authority, NDA, and the Chief Executive of SAME, that's of A&QS, also Consortium Limited, is pending before the Criminal Division of the High Court, Tamale. And I know that this case, lawyer Martin Kpebu is neck deep into this NDA case. You were one of the people who testified.
I reported, actually, I'm
you are the complainant in this case.
Yeah.
Okay. So the office is also investigating 150 cases, as we indicated. This will be publicized if the special prosecutor determines that they are within the mandate of the office and that they should be moved past. So that's just some detail of a summary of the OSP's half-year report. Now, to the extent that there hasn't been any prosecutions, some have raised a concern about the impact of the OSP, especially because corruption is a very dangerous venture. And so if we have added another layer of that's fighting corruption is a dangerous venture. And so if we have added another layer to fight corruption in this country, regardless of all the others that we have in place, why hasn't there been that strong impact of the OSP's work over the period that it has been in place or been established? There are others who disagree. Professor Enoch Opoku-Enchi is a governance and leadership expert. He's also a public policy analyst who's been looking into the work of this OSP. He's joining us in the studio. Prof. Enchi, good morning. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here.
Great. Now, you put together a report, the Ghana Waste Report. That's wastage of public resources. And you captured the OSP in there as one of the areas of waste. Why is that?
When we talk about waste, it means something being drained away when it could have been used for another purpose. And clearly, we have a lot of waste in our system. The whole economy is crawling and then limping on one leg because we have drained our resources, and all the waste that we are seeing are going to individual pockets. So if you look at even aid money coming to Africa, research has shown that a quarter of it, 25% of it, goes to individual pockets. And if you look at the Auditor General's report, look at just procurement alone, and the money that goes waste, we don't need to go to IMF for any money. The money is here. If you look at the plethora of resources in the belly of our land, and we go and borrow money because the money that we have in our land is being wasted, it's just unfortunate. So I keep saying everywhere that unless we face corruption, we will never solve our problem, the woes of Africa, and especially in Ghana. So if you look at the Special Auditor General report, I'll come back to that, but I'm going to talk about the OSP. The OSP. The OSP had 150 cases in front of him, and we've spent almost 500 million Ghana cedis on the OSP office. So talk about vehicles, fuel, all these. And out of 150 cases, we have only 4 that has been done. We have other 4 that are being worked on, and 9 is being investigated. That is 17 out of 150, woefully inadequate. If I hire somebody and out of 150 cases, the person has been able to handle just 8. I mean, 9 is still under investigation, so 8 has been worked on out of 150. I will fire that person immediately because we cannot wait. The people of Ghana cannot wait for that kind of waste. We have a situation where judgment debts are there. We have a situation where we are spending over 100 million Ghana cedis every year on ghost names. Ghost names are supposed to be with the dead people, not with the living. And yet, we keep getting money for ghosts. And those who are living cannot make 1 square meal a day to eat. So, if you look at what is happening, individuals are becoming richer at the expense of the state. The country is poor, individuals are making money. And these are all based on corruption. So the simple definition of corruption is the use of public office for private gain. And unfortunately, there are a lot of individuals who are using their public office for private gains. The Special Prosecutor's Office have the mandate to prosecute these individuals. And most of them have not been prosecuted. I was sad to see Martin Amidu come out last week to say that his life is in danger because some agents are trying to be after his life. Now we know what happened to Domolovo, the former Auditor General. Let me educate the public to know that, look, these public officers who have decided not to go with the political class, they are protecting the public funds. So when issues like this comes up and the Auditor General comes with a report to say that these irregularities exist and people are after their life because they are trying to protect our money and the citizens are not trying to back up with them, then Houston will have a problem.
Okay.
So when these situations happen, I expect the citizens to support these individuals because they are there to fight for us. Other than that, those public officers who are draining our resources and going waste, and the waste is not just going on the floor, it is going to their pockets. So their families are becoming richer, and the ordinary Ghanaian is becoming poorer.
So how do you measure the efficiency of the Office of Special Prosecutor? Is it on the basis of the number of prosecutions made, just on that, with that parameter, or there are other parameters that you're using to measure the impact and efficiency of the OSPs?
That is an interesting question that you are asking. Let me ask you, how do you measure efficiency of a journalist? How do we measure an efficiency of a musician? Not by the number of shows that the musician conducts, and then the number of attendance. So we can see that if a Nigerian artist, is able to fill a park of 40,000, then that's an efficient way of doing his or her job. As a journalist, you are supposed to probe questions and get the right answers for us. That means you're doing your job. What is a special prosecutor's job? They have 4 mandates. They are supposed to investigate public crimes, or special cases. They can prosecute those cases. They are supposed to investigate those cases, and they can also retrieve funds for us. Ask yourself, how many funds have they retrieved for their citizens?
I know in the case of this La Bianca and the GRL, some monies have been paid.
Yes, but how much was paid?
Yes.
Did you see the procurement infringement where somebody was able to sign a contract for 100 years?
But it's prevented the payment of several other monies. And
yes.
So I'll come to you on this. I want Prof. Conclude your point.
So there are some monies have been retrieved, but that is also woefully inadequate. Looking at the number of money, the amount of money, quantum of money that is sitting in individual pockets. We know about the PPA issues there. We know about the National Service. We know about the NAIP. We know about other places that a lot of money are being drained there. How many have they got back for the citizens? So when you talk about efficiency is their 4 core mandate. Are they executing them? No, they are not. If you handle 17 cases out of 150, that is woefully inadequate. And the pace at which they are going will not be able to solve corruption now. We also found that there's an issue where there's duplication of efforts and resources. You have the CID office, you have the YOCO, you have the SHRAJ, and then you have the Office of Special Prosecutor. All of these agencies are supposed to be fighting corruption, and yet we are not fighting corruption. So it's just an unfortunate situation where we are creating an avenue where it seems, and seeming is different from actually what is happening out there. Okay. It seems that we are fighting corruption, but we're not.
Okay, so you talk about the pace. Okay, now speed is not really one of the very strong measures of efficiency, because in most cases, especially in the court of law, you would not want to, as Lawyer Matikbebo and other lawyers will argue, sacrifice accuracy for speed. And so would you go by those who also make the argument that the OSP cannot rush to go to court without a watertight, solid case to prosecute on behalf of the state, so that the processes of gathering evidence also contributes to the slow pace of some of these cases? Prof.
Yes. Nobody is saying that we should sacrifice efficiency for speed, but there are a lot of variables in efficiency based on the mandate given to them. If you have 150 cases and only 4, so look at it. If I've been given a mandate at my job as a professor that you're supposed to bring, we have this strategy, and these are the benchmarks that you're supposed to achieve them. And within that time frame, you've not been able to execute. Look at 4 out of 150. Add another 4, and then 9 that is being investigated. To be so generous, I've made it 17 out of 150. So it's not about the speed. Even those that have been worked on the 4, what is the result that we are getting? Not many. Not many money has been retrieved. Not many results have been got. They are all dangling out there. So we can find a clear case to say that the mandate given to them, they have not been able to execute their job to the satisfaction of the citizens. And that is clear from the statistics.
Well, you're still live here on Key Point. We're live on 3FM 92.7. Let's welcome again, in fact, our additional sponsor for this program, Heritage Christian College. Quick one, 30 seconds. Take a look.
Discover boundless horizons at Heritage Christian College. Discover boundless horizons at Heritage Christian College.
Welcome back. You're still live here on Key Point on TV3, also live on 3FM 92.7. Martin Bebo, on this, because I know you've worked with the OSP on a number of cases, topical being this NDA case, which you petitioned the OSP on. You were a witness in the case. How do you measure the efficiency and the impact of the OSP as against the parameters that Prof. Entry is using, which he says that, look, if you've been given a target and you're not meeting it, amounts to the waste of the public resources, and the fact that we had some expectations which have not been met?
Well, okay, so I see, yes, I see, I appreciate Professor Entry's point, his angle about asking for efficiency and all that. I support that, right? Mm-hmm. Because no matter how much the OSP performs, you always need somebody in a way to serve as devil's advocate. It's good. There is value in that. That way, then he'll see that, okay, so that he doesn't get, pampered, and then he doesn't get swollen-headed, so that he will seek to do more. Because as long as Mr. Kisio Jebe is aware that he has critics, then there will be an incentive to work harder. But if we're all to extol his virtues, to laud him and all that, there is a tendency to get complacency. Mm-hmm. So to that extent, I would say Professor Entry has something to say. Now, but when I come to the practical situation, though, I'll tell you that the OSP has done a yeoman's job. Yeah, he's done extremely well. A
yeoman's job?
I tell you. Huh?
Why?
Alfred, it's not easy to do those cases, so it's not easy at all. At least I've seen the NDA one. You know who are involved in the NDA?
These are 4 cases.
Yes, and let's say the NDA one, at least the one I've seen practically. Mm-hmm. You get the president's appointee, so let's say the CEO, Smaila Abdul Rahman, then 2 other deputies. So naturally, in the scheme of things, these are politicians. These are people that know people. So they are very closely connected. So for OSP to be able to eventually get that case into court, my brother, look, practically, you have no idea. That job, if you have no balls, excuse my French, you can't do it. It was difficult. You see, even did you read Atta Kennedy's this piece two or 3 weeks ago when he was criticizing Kissi Ejabe? You see that he mentioned that there's a lady at Jubilee House, that's Napaga Tia Sulemana, the coordinator of the Special Development Projects Initiative. You see, she was the last person to appoint, to approve the payments of that money. She's the boss. She wasn't added, and Atta Kennedy raised it. I've also raised it that being the final person to approve the payment, she should have also been in charge, okay, for causing financial loss at least, right? So the point I'm making is that these are very connected people. It takes a lot of steel, a lot of grit to be able to fight these cases. It's no joke. No. It's not a walk in the park. It's difficult. Look, there are some other things I can't say today. We'll wait. When President Akufo-Addo leaves, that's when we'll say it. But read Atta Kennedy's piece. You see him saying that Kissi Ejabe couldn't prosecute Napaga because of her connection. If you understand that connection, later we'll reveal it after Akufo-Addo leaves office. No, because this Ghana, and I said, look, don't care about death because that's a democracy. Strong connections. You have no idea. Trust me. The other three, the other persons who even are in court, okay, they are very connected to. As I said, for a lot of them, we will not reveal now. Some of the things you have to be tactical. We'll wait when Akufo-Addo leaves office. That's when we'll come.
So why do you have to wait till Akufo-Addo leaves office before you do this? Because if those who are connected cannot be prosecuted, then Houston will have a problem. Because we should all be equal before the law. And if some people, because of their connection, that's why I have a problem with most part of our constitution.
Okay.
Indemnity clause and all that.
Good.
If people, if people cannot be prosecuted because we made them see. I teach leadership. I'm a leadership professor. And a leader is nothing but a servant. So if you are here, we made you the leader to serve us. And 80% of leadership is followership.
Good.
So why is the 20% that is well conducted ruling the 80% and everybody have resigned themselves to the faith that we can't say anything? Let it be.
So
is that the standard? Is that the expectation?
So good. So Napaga was left out. So then you can start a crusade. Because for me, do you know what happened? To the extent that at least now we have 4 of them before court, the chief executive, 2 deputies, and then the businessman. I'm like, half a loaf is better than none. So we've made noise. So maybe this other person, maybe join Atta Kennedy, then you start a crusade. I've been saying that, look, criminal cases, the fortunate thing is that there is no limitation of action. So when Akufo-Addo leaves office, we will pursue that Napaga also be tried.
Why should he leave office? That's my problem. Why should he leave office before you
have to choose your fights well.
So when Akufo-Addo is in office, there's no way we can make a headway in this case. Is that what you're saying?
We have 4, and she's the only one left. As I said, for now, it's half a loaf is better than none. Sometimes you look at the fight.
So why can't you go for the full loaf?
Yes, why are you going for half loaf, like you said, instead of the full one?
We have to be
when
practical.
You can eat all, right?
Exactly.
I see. So
Mr. Holmes, the biggest pillar of any democracy, of any advanced country, is regulation. And regulation is money. It's the biggest money because if you are in America and you are supposed to be driving 40 miles an hour and you're driving 60, the police will get you and give you a fine of $500. Okay. That is going to be your whole 2 weeks paycheck. So you will not do that.
Yes, all good. As for the principle,
no, regulation. Hold on. So the regulation should be there. The reason why a police officer in America or Europe will not take bribe from you, they will tell you it is against the law.
Or they take, some of them take.
I know, but I'm saying that, yes, but I'm saying that they will tell you it is against the law. Yeah. So the law works. How do we make the law?
Fully. It doesn't
hold on. Yeah, not fully. Lawyers have a way of handling this. The law should be fair. Yes. So when we talk about equity, those who are connected and those who are not connected, we should be fair to each one.
Yes.
Because if you don't have equal rights and justice, then we'll have a problem in our country. So why should we wait till Akufo-Addo leaves office in 2025? before somebody who has erred in using public office for personal gain to be prosecuted. I have a problem with that.
Sometimes that's
Okay.
the practical nature of it. So let's leave it. Yes, that's why I said.
How do you mean that that's the practical nature?
Yes, because
Really?
he will fight and runs, lives to fight another day. So sometimes look at the practical.
You can fall down whilst running and then
But
collapse
you see-
and die.
You see, but you talk about grits.
Yes.
The OSP
Hey,
has
he's
grits and guts
stubborn, he's
to,
strong. Yeah.
to do this.
Yeah.
But you were pursuing cases in the court of law based on evidence, regardless of how much that you have. If you have evidence, there's enough reasonable grounds to prosecute a case, is it not? That does not have anything to do with how strong or how much guts he has.
Hey, there is a lot. There's a lot. Practical, there's a lot. You know, security-wise and all that. Look, that's why I say it's not everything we can say, but I'm telling you that it's a very dangerous job.
So is it safe to say
Extremely-
that if Sir John had not passed away, the Office of Special Prosecutor couldn't have gone to his estate and investigate? Is that what we say?
No, they could have. So let's not take this out of.
Yes. So do you think if he was still alive and still at the Forestry Commission, would his asset would have been frozen?
Yes, yes, because that's what
You are talking about connection.
Yes,
so he
I'm
was
saying-
also well
oh,
connected.
so
That
let's
means we couldn't
understand
have been
this.
able to prosecute.
Maybe my error is in trying to tell you that in every rule there's an exception. It's not an error. It's just for us to be practical, because he just told me about America, and I'm also telling that I also know for a fact in America we've gone to America 1,000 times.
Do you have a
American
police officer
are
you
so
gave a
corrupt.
bribe and the person
I
took
can
it?
also tell you American police.
Do
are
you
so
have a
corrupt.
police officer
That's
you
what I
gave
tell you.
money and the person collected it?
America,
I've stayed in America for 22 years.
Yeah, and we
Do you have a
very-
police
then it's
officer
just for
evidence
the
that you
same
gave
time.
the money and the person
Oh,
collected it?
America,
Tell me.
even when you
And then
Google-
I will follow up the prosecution.
No, but you don't live in America. Google it.
okay,
You see
hold on.
several of them,
Let's come back to Ghana.
hundreds.
But they are prosecuted.
Let's
So
come
by
back
here,
to
they are not prosecuted.
No, it's not everyone that's prosecuted. Some
Okay.
get through.
Prof.
So let me continue. So I'm saying that Mr. Debin has done a yeoman's job. Okay, let's remember that the total staff strength of the OSP does not exceed 20 as of now. All of them. That's the thing. The office is still grossly understaffed. They are now about to recruit more, and those people will start working in October, a few months down the line. So it's very key. The investigators, you've seen 150 cases. As far as I'm aware, the investigators are 3. 1, 2, 3. No. And the cases are difficult. These are politicians.
You
and
know,
not,
if you read the report, it indicates that Parliament actually approved that they recruit about 200 people.
yes.
Where's the process?
So it's a
And-
process. That's what they are going
Yes.
to. They are not yet done. They say they
They
will
receive
take,
about 1,000
yes.
applications.
How are the
Yes,
monies
so-
the special prosecutor
In fact, they are asking for more money.
Yes, I'm coming to that. Yes. So those people, they are going through the recruitment process. So those people will take office, I think, somewhere in October, 31st October. So those people are yet to come. And even when those people come in, they have to be oriented, etc. So we have to
their
give them a
capacity.
bit, exactly, to build up their capacity. So we have to give them a bit of time. Now let's come to the other side of it. So he still even has a problem with capital. He's not been resourced enough. The OSP doesn't have the capital. You see, he says that the establishment budget, he needs that budget to get forensics, cyber security infrastructure, the cells there. So the building itself is not even well furnished. It's a shell. There's a lot to be done. And that's how come lawyers came together and done that petition, gathering 100, signatures. And it's taking two months or so. Some lawyers, look, just even petition President Kufuor. This is the country we live in. You meet some lawyers, please, will you sign my petition? And the lawyer say, no, me, this since I won't add my name. You see the kind of country, the hypocrisy. Just sign a petition telling the president
Cowardice.
we want you to adequately resource the OSP. Some lawyers are running away. That no, they won't put their names on this
So
petition.
they are cowards.
Can you imagine? Well, then what kind of democracy do you want?
Correct.
So, look, so the point is that the OSP is grossly challenged. But let's look at the positive sides. As I said, the LaBianca matter is just not the money LaBianca paid, but also he asked the GRA to do reforms so that they will stop that discriminatory practice where senior officers will help people clear their goods, the ruling. So they do it, then you pay less tax. You know, it's always been there. Customs, it's always been there since we were kids. You work for customs and everybody knows that you're a rich man because through this custom duties, there's a way they can do and then get lower custom duties paid and the rest. But he's asked for reforms. You see that in the, in the report, and GRA is complied. So you should look at how much we are saving the public purse. And the establishment budget he needs. Look, let's look at it. There's one of them, it will be a game changer. The cyber where he wants to be able to plug into the ports so that the imports and exports he can monitor independently, and also Bank of Ghana. Okay, yes, he wants to be able to monitor independently. That's why we have to support that establishment budget. But you know, because Akufo-Addo is so corrupt, he's saying that no, this is not something. Oh no, after Akufo-Addo's corruption is legendary. So he's not interested in that because it will expose too many of his people. It's his track record that's showing. Am I the one who said it? The IMF report says that the fight against corruption has been down for a decade now. Oh, honorable, am I the one saying it? The IMF says it too.
Is beyond Akufo-Addo.
He said so. So it includes Mahama and Akufo-Addo. Yes, but who said am I supporting Mahama? No.
Murtala Mohammed.
Look.
So
I think that Prof did.
Oh, so have I finished? Exhausted my time.
Yes.
I think you talked enough.
Okay.
Prof he did an exceptional work on this, and for me, I don't think that one would have even added anything less to say that. Look, corruption has been the bane of our retrogression, not even our development. We are not progressing. We're actually retrogressing. And it's found in every facet of our society. From the clergy, to the media, to the man or girl on the street, the public service, the civil servants, and the politicians. What is worrying to some of us, and we have two politicians on this program. Some politicians are fantastically corrupt, and let's admit that. And for me, I have been saying it. As politicians, we must admit that yes, corruption is a worry, but the biggest of all is the corruption within the political elite. I'll tell you an example. I was appointed a deputy minister, and before I was appointed a deputy minister, I was the deputy national coordinator for the National Youth Employment Program, and we all saw what happened after 2012, because I was there from 2008 to 2012. I was in my office. Then I was the deputy minister for information, and I used to go to work on Saturdays. I tell people the most difficult ministry to handle is information. Your budget is limited, but you clean the mess of every single minister and every single government appointee. I was in the office working on Saturday, and a journalist called me. When the gentleman called and I picked, he said, "Oh, Honorable, it's me," he mentioned the name. I said, "How can I help you?" "You see, I chanced upon a story on NYEP, and that story is so damaging, and me, I like you. So I wanted us to sit, if not, it will destroy you." And I knew, in the heart of my heart, the 4 years I served as NYEP, I never took a dime, illegally and unjustifiably, from NYEP, apart from my salary. And maybe when you traveled for programs that I was angry, and I said, and without apologies to your viewing public, I said, if you don't publish it, you are a bastard.
No, so you said with apologies.
I'm apologizing to our viewers. I said, if you don't publish it, you are a bastard. I just want to repeat the words I use. Now, when I said that, he started begging. Then I cut down. I said, go ahead and publish. You know why? If I were corrupt at NYEP, I would have been guessing which of my corrupt activities does he have. So I would have been looking forward having to meet him and pay. This was a journalist. We live in a country today where journalists have built houses in the most expensive areas in Accra. They don't have any known job. Nobody finds out how they got them. We live in a country where journalists can drive the best of cars, live in the best of areas. Nobody asks. Now the focus is on the political corruption, which I think that it ought to be. Because for the journalist or the clergy or the civil servant or the public servant to be corrupt, taking money from the state, the only means by which he or she can take the money, does that through a channel, and that channel can only be created by a political appointee. Finito. Take every society in this country falls under a particular ministry or government machinery. So for any journalist or any individual to do so, we have journalists in this country who takes envelopes and they virtually have become spokespersons of politicians. And politicians, look, let's be very honest. And I have said, and I will repeat this, I'm not corrupt. I have never been and I will never be. If we do not fight this, we will sit here and cry every day. You go to our religious gatherings, the religious leaders are not preaching morality, moral standard.
Yes.
The highest payer at that religious gathering is given respect. You have politicians in this country within 4 years, whether under whichever government, they built the most expensive houses
and hotels,
and nobody says anything.
Yes.
And you see, the moment you have some of this happen and we do not fight it, to be very honest, you have a problem. We need to speak the truth. Look, I'm not trying to play the saint here. That's not what I'm trying to. But until such a time that on the mimbars, and the mimbar is like the pulpit of Muslims, the Friday way, and the pulpits, the religious leaders must preach this. And in fact, there must even be investigation to find out where a member of a church or a religious gathering is getting the money, for which reason that person can contribute so much. Yes. Because to be very honest, when there is corruption, society is hurt.
Yes.
Look, I have been saying that if you look at the laws, we have laws that must prevent corruption everywhere. But as to whether the laws work, to be very honest with you, when you have the protection, the political class protecting sometimes civil servants and public servants and politicians, the fight for corruption will come to naught. The question is, why is the office of the special prosecutor not able to prosecute the number? Prof, it's about 100. They have been able to prosecute
150.
About 150.
Only 4 cases have been concluded.
I think the question we should be asking, what is preventing the prosecution of the others? And I guess it comes to the point like people were mentioning. When you have loyalists being appointed, and for me that is the danger. Every politician, when you appoint loyalists, for you to appoint a loyalist, you reduce the you eliminate the moral courage and the strength to deal with such a loyalist who has been appointed by you or a family member when the person engages in wrong. We live in a country, the moment you are appointed, members of your family think that you are a rich man. You are a rich man.
Yes. Even from the vetting.
Look, I have had instances, people will call you and ask you to give them money. When you say you don't have the money, it becomes an issue.
Yes. They even think you are useless.
Absolutely, they think you are. And I think that these are some of the issues we need to be looking at. Look, on the issue of corruption, I mean, frankly speaking, and I say this dispassionately, we have had corruption in every government. Like President Kufuor said, corruption started from Adam. The difference between those corrupt activities and what we experienced under President Nana Addo. President Nana Addo has perfected corruption. And that is a fact. And I say this. Why? Look at all the corruption perception index.
The IMF report.
Look at the IMF report. And this
allegation for the Transparency International.
Honorable, for the TI.
If you are looking at the IMF report, it's a 10-year period.
No, I'm saying that
to submit this. For the Transparency International Corruption Perception Index, if you look at Mohammed's time, he took us up to 49%. According to TI, Transparency International, if you hit the 50 and above, you are not corrupt. Muhammad was able to get to 49.
They're 47.
47, and he ended at 43. Yeah. But it has been 43 for MPP term till now.
No, MPP got 41 in 2000. Yes,
but the highest now is 43. So the lowest of Muhammad has been the highest. That is the point I wanted to make.
That you see, when you read, they say it's perception. Of course.
Perception.
Corruption
the money is out there.
Corruption is perception. Look, in Tamale, and I will just conclude on this. You have youth groups, and as a gentleman, I have to commend him. He's a known MPP activist in Ababu. That gentleman has galvanized several young people in his area, and I guess other areas are now taken up. These drug dealers and this Ramon. And he said something that was shocking. I watched a video, and he said, look, we arrested some young men, 3 young men with drugs. We sent them to the police. We arrested them and sent them to the police. The police put them behind bars. And within 3 days, we saw the gentleman walking. And when we went to the police, they said they were bailed. Even the lack of transparency, even if someone is coming to bail, they thought that they could have been informed. And he said, look, one of the people we sent include my brother. So I'm saying that you have corruption that permeates through every facet of our society. The biggest people, the people who should be acting responsibly in this country for me should be our religious leaders. That must be part of our sermons. And in fact, civic responsibilities should be encapsulated in our educational curriculum. Because these are some of the things that are lacking. Last point, watch the Ghanaian movies or the Nigerian movies. They celebrate wealth. If a person is not doing well, it means that he must come from a poor family. Poor people can do well in better forms. And that the only misfortune to anybody is either the auntie or the uncle. So the minds are completely corrupt. People are made to agree the condition that you can only do well with money. And that is why when people get opportunities, there's so much pressure from their family. They expect them to do well, and that is where the corruption indeed begins.
Murtala Mohammed, thank you.
I was impeaching my JCR president, asking for corruption in Lagos, and he was the lawyer of the JCR president I was impeaching. He was defending him.
Well, that's not against his will, is it not?
That's his job.
He's also entitled to legal representation. Let's take a quick message from Heritage Christian College. And the Honorable Norte, you come in. Take a look.
Discover boundless horizons at Heritage Christian College. Discover boundless horizons at Heritage Christian College.
To key point, we're live on 3FM 92.7. Honorable Norte.
Well, in fact, my seniors and colleagues here have really dealt with the matter. But I want to say that corruption in Ghana is directly proportional to the cost of politics in Ghana. All the political schemes, the corruption schemes that we have seen in the last 20, 30 years is directly linked to the cost of doing politics in Ghana. Because it is an expensive business just to represent your people. If you want to run for any political seat in Ghana today, it will cost you no less. Some of our colleagues who just went for primaries, even in seats that we knew they had won, easy just walk through seats, we're spending 3 million cedis, 4 million cedis. It costs an average maybe $1 million between the competing groups for one person to emerge as a member of parliament.
During the primaries?
No, even broadening it. Let's say during the primaries, yes, during the primaries towards the general, let's say the primaries. And even on the day of time. Then on the election, during the general election itself. So if you are spending $275 million, I'm not talking about cedis, I'm talking about dollars.
$275 million.
Yeah, obviously, because if you are 3 people competing and you are spending 3 million each, it's 1 million Ghana cedis and 10 million Ghana cedis or 9 million. Let's say 10 million Ghana. It's about $1 million. So $275 million. That is just to win the slots from political parties. Yes, before we go to the general election itself. When we go to the general community, when you go to a church and the church tells you that, oh, Honorable Abe, since Honorable is here, today we are going to have a special harvest. And therefore, my predecessor, there's a church in Tema that my predecessor was refused or was not allowed to go and campaign in because he promised them they made him promise them air conditioners and he said he was not going to deliver.
That's all.
Church.
Yes, 11 air conditioners. So if I have 100 churches in my constituency and I'm to deliver 10 air conditioners each, how much is that? That's 1,000 air conditioners. Where's the political leader going to take the money from? But our society expects that political leader to deliver on this. So it gets to a point where, in fact, I keep saying that whatever politicians are doing, civil servants are doing, is a reflection of our society. This is what our people consider as politics. You go to your constituency. I have a meeting in my constituency every Monday. I sit in my house. My home, I live in an urban constituency. The front side of my home is my political office. I arrange chairs, and it's like a clinic. And everybody that comes with a bill. Yes, everybody that comes with a bill. So if you don't have a business to support your politics, where do you expect the person to go and take the money from? So really and truly, we have to go back to the drawing board. And some of our political leaders in the past I remember Felix Osuo-Japan made this case that we should, the state should support political parties in political funding.
Yes,
People didn't understand, but Damboche also said it. There was an NDC MP, Abayate. Yes. Yes. He used to talk about it. I mean, then I was a student. I used to listen to them. And initially, I really understand why they were saying so. But now, I really get it. Because if we are to spend 275 million on just that, minus the political rallies, the political conferences, we have spent about $500 million at the end of the day in a period of 4 years. Just to hold political power.
And that's not as if you love your conscience so much you want to represent them $500 million.
You would have, so the political class would have to recoup that money. And most often times, there are business people who back the political class with the hope that when we come to power, you would give them business to recoup that money. And they're not saying that they want to recoup 10%. They want to recoup 100%.
Okay.
So we have to really, just as you talk about regulation, go back to the drawing board, put in measures that would, in fact, make what I would call political accountability, you know, political funding accountability, that we have to be able to account for where our funding comes from. For me, when I was going for my primaries, I had a diary, which my wife kept. Everybody that gave me a cent, whatever he gave me, I noted it down. Because I wanted to build that culture internally, so that anything that anybody gave me towards my campaign, if it's a businessman, I write your name, how much you gave me, blah, blah, blah. Everybody, I try to keep that record for my own record's sake. However, that is the bane of our problem. Lastly, I want to add, this is my personal theory. Look, we don't pay Ghanaians well. Ghanaians are some of the most poorly paid people in the world. We don't pay them well. And therefore, the person goes to the office, either he's pilfering or he's asking for, I mean, if you pay a policeman well, why would he collect 20 cedis from a taxi driver? A British policeman is, I mean, the average British policeman is difficult. You cannot give him money. The average policeman, you cannot. However, obviously, at the very top, you may be able to do some things, because we've all seen corrupt cases in Europe as well. However,
there are those who are against that, who also have a different view about that position. But you're entitled to it, that, you know, no matter how well you pay someone, that does not necessarily mean the person will not be corrupt.
No, if I may finish my point, whatever Ghanaians are paid is not even enough to take care of their basic needs. I mean, people go home with 500 cedis in Ghana, and I don't know how they feed. People go home with 800, degree holders go home with 800 cedis in Ghana. How do they feed? So, it is not that, I mean, we should be truthful to ourselves as a people. We are not paid well. People are, I mean, even members of parliament, we believe we are not paid well. So that if we are paid well, if people are paid well and people can afford the basic necessities of life, if society is developing well, and we are, I mean, if you look at what Singapore has done, Malaysia has done, there's social housing, cheap housing, accessible housing, availability of food security. If these basic things have been done in the last 30 years of our democratic experience alone, trust me, we would have halved our corruption problems. But we've not been able to do so. And for that one, I blame the political class. If I say blame, no. I would say that I would hold the political class responsible. Because we have been given the mandate to make that change. But that critical mass of the political class to make that change, it's not there. Because look, trust me, him and I are in the political field. When we go out there to compete right now, and he has found money from any other source, good or bad, and I don't have the money, trust me, the people of Ghana would vote for him. It's as simple as that.
Can I come in?
That's the
It's only
reality
a
in
sin
30
of
seconds.
money
I have to-
didn't work.
my
A sin of-
my time is up.
You guys distributed money.
Time is
The
up.
man is a proper
Thank you.
man, that's all.
Thank you very much.
it means that you should be
Gentlemen,
good.
appreciate you coming, and then also to you, our viewers. Thank you. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed is now an Alhaji. He came back from Mecca.
Alhaji Banza.
The last
You
week. So
Alhaji.
Alhaji Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed.
Are we done?
Yes, Member of Parliament for Tamale Central. And then also, Ives Hansen.
You got my name wrong. My name is Eve.
Eve
Hansen Notte.
Eve Hansen Notte. He's Member of Parliament for the Tema Central
Constituency.
Constituency. Thank you very much. Martin Pebo is private legal practitioner, also a leader of one of three individual bondholder groups. Tuesday, they are picketing at the Office of the Finance Ministry for the failure of the Memorandum of Understanding being adhered to. Also, Professor Enoch Opoku Enchi. I am Alfredo Kanse. Have a great weekend.